Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. K.M. Daduri, Assistant Professor, Bajaj College of Science, Varta. Today I am going to deliver a topic, coordination compounds. Let's see the brief content of this topic. So we will start with the introduction, then double salts, then types of ligands, then most important theory, that is Werner theory and their postulates, and at the end, effective atomic number. Let's see what is the coordination compounds. Coordination complex is the product of Lewis acid-base reaction in which neutral molecules or anion called ligands, they bonds to a central metal atoms or ions by coordinate covalent bonds, and such a combination is called as coordination compounds. There are so many examples of the coordination compounds in the nature. In that, vitamin B12, hemoglobin, chlorophyll, dyes, pigments, and most of the catalysts, they are used in the preparing organic substances. Now, what is the ligand specifically? Ligands are rich with the lone electron pair, and these electrons are donated to the metal ions in order to reduce the positive charge on the metal ion. And this types of the bonding is known as coordinate bond. So this is about ligands. Now what is the double salt? A double salt is a crystalline salt having the composition of a mixture of two simple salt but with different crystal structure, and they contain more than one cations or anions. The word itself is indicating that double means two. So double salt is the combination of two salts. The well-known example is ammonium iron sulfate, which is the example of double salts. Now let's see what is the differences in between the double salts and the coordination compound according to their physical and chemical properties. So double salt is a crystalline salt, and they having the composition of mixture of two simple salt but with different crystal structure. But in case of the coordination compounds are the complex structures made up of central metal ion surrounded by molecule or ion known as ligands. What about the composition? A double salt contains the two types of salt compounds, but coordination compound is contain metal and ligand. What about the chemical bonds? Double salt is contain the ionic bonding between the cations and anions, but coordinated compounds contain the coordinate covalent bonds between the metal and ligands. Then solubility. As far as the solubility is concerned, double salt, when dissolved in aqueous solution, so they dissociate into the ionic species. But in case of the coordination compound, when coordination compound are soluble in any aqueous solution, they are not separated into ionic species. Let's see types of ligands. Ligands is actually categorized on the basis of nature of bond between the ligands and then central metal atom, and on the basis of they are classified as anionic ligands, cationic ligands, and neutral ligands. In the case of anionic ligands, Cn negative charge, Br negative charge, and Cl negative charge, these are some specific examples. In cationic ligands, there is a NO positive charge, and in case of the neutral ligands, there is a CO, H2O, and H3. But ligand further classified as unidentate ligands, bidentate ligands, tridentate ligands, polydentate ligands, just like that. So let's see what is the unidentate ligands. The word itself indicating that the uni means one and single. So ligands which only have one atoms that can bind to the coordination center are called as unidentate ligands. And great example is ammonia. And some other example is also coming in these unidentate ligands. They are chloride, water molecules, and etc. What about the bidentate ligands? Again, the word bi means two. Ligands which have the ability to bind to the central atom. Ligands which have the ability to bind to the central atom via the two separate donor atoms, such as ethane 1,2-diamine. This ethane 1,2-diamine are referred as a bidentate ligands. Oxalate is also one of the example which is coming in this bidentate ligands. And here you can see here, this is the ethane 1,2-diamine. So here two amine groups are here having the lone pair, and during the complexation this two lone pair is donating towards the metal. And same case in oxalate ion also. Now polydentate ligands. The word poly means more than two. Some ligands have many donor atoms. Example is tridentate ligands. Ligands which have the three donor atoms per ligands. The well-known example is diethyl triamine, which is also called as diene. Tetradentate ligands. Tetra means four. Ligands which have the four donor atoms per ligands is called as tetradentate ligands. An example is triethyl tetraamine. Then hexadentate ligands. So ligands which have the six donor atoms per ligands, and the well-known example is EDTA. Now see the ambidentate ligands. So ambidentate is actually the very specific categories of the ligands. Let's see. Some ligands have the ability to bind to the central atom via the atoms of the two different elements. This is very important word. And here we will giving the example of thiocyanate ions. So in this thiocyanate ion, we can see that how the donating properties is taken place. So here this thiocyanate ion can bind to the ligand via the nitrogen atoms or via the sulfur atom. Okay, and such ligands are known as ambidentate ligands. Next is chelating ligands. Students, again the chelating ligands and chelates is very important according to the complex chemistry and then coordination chemistry is concerned. So multidentate ligands simultaneously coordinating to the metal ions through more than one site is called as chelating ligands. The most example is ethylene diamine, and in this ethylene diamine we can see that in the lateral side the two amine groups is present here, and this ligand is produce the ring-like structure during the complexation, and this ring-like structure is called as chelate. And very important thing which is associated with this chelate is during this chelation and this chelate property, the chelation is increasing the stability of complex. So more the chelation, more is the stability. Now the most important theory of coordination compound, and that is the Werner theory. So student, we will see here the postulates of the Werner theory in a step by step. And as far as the examination point of view, so Werner theory is also very important and it is repeatedly asked. A central metal or the metal atoms in coordination compound shows two types of valency, and they are primary valency and secondary valency. The primary valency related to the oxidation state and secondary valency is related to the coordination number. So this is very important things which is associated with the primary and secondary valency. The number of secondary valency is fixed for every metal atom, and it means that the coordination number is fixed. The metal atom works towards satisfying both its primary and secondary valency. This is very important. Metal atom works towards satisfying both its primary and secondary valency. A negative ion is satisfy the primary valency. The secondary valency points towards a fixed position in the space. This is the reason behind the definite geometry of the coordinated compounds. And in that we will see the example, and that example is in case of the metal ion having the six secondary valencies. So these arrange the octahedral around the central metal atom. But if the metal ion has the 4 secondary valency, so that time the arrangement will be either tetrahedral or square planar around that central metal ions. And therefore we see that the secondary valency is determined the overall stereochemistry of that complex ions. But on the other hand, the primary valency is the non-directional in the nature. And that is the reason we can see here by taking this example of this cobalt complex. So we can see the primary valency is satisfied the 3 chloride ions, and secondary valency is satisfied by the 6 ammonia ligands. And this is whole oral complex we can see over here. Now next is some example and some very specific examples of the Werner theory, which is responsible for the formation of the structures of various cobalt amines. So we will look little explanation about here. Cobalt has the primary valency of 3 and exhibit the secondary valency of 6. In this example of this cobalt complex, we will see how the primary and secondary valency is distinguished and participated. We represent the secondary valency here by the thick line, and then primary valency by the broken lines. So this is the thick line and this is what broken lines. In this COCl3.6NH3 complex, the coordination number of the cobalt is 6, and ammonia molecule is satisfy all the 6 secondary valency, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then 6. And this chloride ion basically satisfied the 3 primary valency, which is non-directional in the nature. And this is the reason when we add a silver nitrate as a reagent, as a precipitating reagent, so that time this chloride ion is instantaneously precipitated. And then we can say that the total number of the ion in this case is 4. So 3 chloride ions and 1 complex ions. Okay. Next. Now next is very important again, and we here see how the primary and secondary valency is working, okay, separately in the complexation. So primary valency are ionizable valency, but secondary valency are non-ionizable. Primary valency satisfied by the charge ions, but secondary valency are satisfied by the ligands. In case of the primary valency does not determine the structure of the complex. But in case of the secondary valency is basically determining the structure of the complex. Very important here. In the primary valency can also function as the secondary valency. This is very important here. But in case of the secondary valency cannot function as a primary valency. Means primary valency can function as a secondary valency, but secondary valency cannot function as a primary valency. So this is very important during the complexation. And this is the very well-known example where we will see how the basically Werner theory or the Werner theory of the primary and secondary valencies are satisfied here and supporting here. In the first in this example, we can see here the cobalt complex is react with the excess of AgNO3, and we can see the 3 moles of AgCl is get precipitated in the first case, and 2 moles of AgCl is get precipitated in the second case, and 1 mole of the AgCl is get precipitated in the third case, and in the fourth case there is no precipitation. And let's see how this is occur. So overall, if you see that in the first case, that is COCl3.6NH3, all the three chloride ions as ionizable primary valency, and 6-amine ligand is satisfy the non-ionizable secondary valency, and that is the reason the structure of the complex will be like that. This is CONH3 whole bracket 6 and Cl3. In the second case, only 2 chloride ions as ionizable primary valencies, okay, and 5 amine ligands are satisfy the non-ionizable secondary valency, and hence the structure is like this: CONH3 whole bracket 5 Cl twice. In the third case, only the 1 chloride ion goes with the ionizable primary valency, and 4 amine ligands are satisfied by non-ionizable secondary valency. So here we can see that this 2 chloride ions is fulfilling both the valency, okay, and so the complex is like this: CONH3 whole bracket 4 Cl twice, and this is Cl. In the fourth case, we can see here the no chloride ion is satisfy the ionizable primary valency, but 3 amine ligands are satisfied non-ionizable secondary valency. So here we can see that the 3 chloride ions is fulfilling both the valency, okay, and the complex is shown like this. On the basis of this precipitation method, we can say that this observation is clearly support the Werner theory of primary and secondary valency, okay. Now next, effective atomic rule and effective atomic number rule, and this rule is also known by the Sedgwick effective atomic number rule. Let's see the definition of this effective atomic number rules. Sedgwick suggested that when the ligand donates the certain pair of electron to the central metal atoms or ion, the total number of the electrons on the central metal atoms or ion, including those gained from the ligand in the bonding, is called effective atomic number of the central metal ion. This is the simple definition of effective atomic number rules. But this rule can also be stated under the two statement, and this is a very important statement according to the stability point of view and according to the complex nature point of view. Means the complex is either magnetic or diamagnetic. It is the paramagnetic or diamagnetic, okay. If the total number of the electron, that is the effective atomic number of the central metal atom, is equal to the atomic number of the inert gas, such compounds are stable. And when such compounds are stable, so compounds are diamagnetic in nature. If the total number of the electron, that is the effective atomic number of the central metal atom, is not equal to the atomic number of the inert gas, then such compounds are unstable and paramagnetic in nature. So we will here validate this two statement by taking some interesting example, some numerical example of effective atomic number. So for that we will use this formula, this numerical formula, that is Z minus X plus Ny. Here the Z is atomic number of the central metal atom and X is the oxidation number of the central metal atom. N is what? N is the number of ligands, and Y is the number of the electron which is donated by each and every ligands. So let's calculate the effective atomic number of this cobalt complex. Now, the effective atomic number of this cobalt is equal to the Z minus X plus Ny. So now we will put the value of this Z. Now value of the Z is 27, which is the atomic number of this metal, and X is the oxidation number, and oxidation number is 3. So 27 minus 3 plus 6. 6 is the why? 6 is basically here N, and N is what? Number of the ligand. So here total number of the ligand is 6. Okay, dot 2, and 2 is Y, and Y means number of electron which is donated by the each ligands. Okay, so here total number of the electron is donated by each ligand is 2. So here total 24 plus 12. So whole calculation will come here 36. Now let's compare this 36. So effective atomic number of this cobalt ion basically equal to the atomic number of the krypton, and which is basically the equal to the 36. And that after that we will apply the rule and one formula. So number of the unpaired electron is equal to the atomic number of the krypton minus the effective atomic number. So here we can see that 36 minus 36, so whole sum will be 0, and this 0 will define the nature of that complex. So what is the nature of the complex? So this 0 will decide here the complex is contained the no unpaired electron, and hence it is the stable. And when complex is contained the no unpaired electron and it is stable, it means that it is diamagnetic in nature. Okay, and most of the complexes which is diamagnetic in natures are coming in the category of stability. So this is the example through which we can calculate the stability of the complexes, and we can predict the stability of the complexes. So students, so this is all about the first part of the coordination compounds. In the next some topics we will discuss some more interesting topics. Thank you.